Hello, everyone. It's me, Matthew Allen. Welcome back to the What a Thought podcast. It's insane. We just keep going. I don't even know what episode this is because I forgot to save it with that information. So I'll have to do that after the fact. I'm about to go look real quick. Is it the 29th or is it the 30th? Let's find out. I'm having to pull up my own channel. That's so goofy. Oh my god, it's episode 30 actually? Oh, I thought that was a joke. Wow, okay. Look at us go. 30 What a Thought episodes. That's kind of ridiculous. I won't lie. Insane and ridiculous. I was definitely in the midst of going to go do other things in which I would have been more prepared for this afterwards. And then my desktop said, "Oh, did you want to use your camera? Did you want to record things? Restart." But I can't restart because I have videos uploading. And if I interrupt it, it'll mess it up. So now I'm stuck in this vicious cycle where I had to wait for that to finish uploading, and once that's done uploading and I'm done recording, I can restart the desktop, which I think is stupid. But I digress. Continuing on, what was I doing? I'm really out of it. I was supposed to go record 3 other things before I even pretended to get to this podcast. Which I had to get to really early. That's part of what I was going to say. This is being recorded. This is Wednesday the 20th. And not, the Sunday before it releases. Because I won't be here that Sunday. In fact, I won't be here the whole weekend, including the beginning part of Monday. So I said, okay, I'll go ahead and pre-record a podcast. It'll be fine. And now here I am, blinking my way through this thing because I don't know what's going on in the back of my head. I've been distracted. I exercised. I've been watching a little bit of Jacksepticeye's Stray video, which, hey, is the cutest game to ever exist. You're a cat. You're a cat in a city full of robots, and maybe there's something bad that happened there, but the robots weren't involved. They all seem to be very nice, which is surprising. I genuinely thought this whole time that the robots were the bad guys for every ad that I've seen of Stray, but apparently no. Apparently there is some fungi thing that might have killed all the humans. I don't know. I'm thinking about playing it. I get too many things though. I have too many games. The amount of games in my possession keeps growing because I keep getting coupons from GameStop every month. And then every time I get another coupon, I'm just kind of there like, yeah, okay, I guess I'll go use this, and then I buy another game. And they do that to me. They've done that to me for 2 years, going on 3 now. So it's been at least 24 games just slowly adding to the collection. Now granted, they've gone and hurt me and removed all Xbox 360 and PS3 games from in stores. I don't even know if they still sell them online. I hope they still sell them online, because it'd be real lame if they didn't. But it was a little disappointing when I saw that. I won't lie. Where are we now? Where's my thoughts? Video games, too many. I have a lot. There's lots I want to play, lots I want to get through. I would need to just dedicate my entire existence to only gaming if I wanted to get through my entire back catalog of games. Because it's so insane to look at. Because sometimes I look at what's physically in front of me, because I prefer physical games, which obviously takes up 1,000 times more space. But I look at all these physical games, and then I look at the digital ones I own, because I own a lot of digital ones too currently. And so then I'm just there like games galore. Just ooh woo, I'm gonna go throw up later for saying ooh woo. Disgusting. Absolutely the worst thing anyone could say. And I stand by that. That is a fact. Oh, why didn't this close? Hold on. Oh, thanks for telling me you had a runtime error, Apache. You weren't even in use. That doesn't even make any sense. What? Someone is messaging me, desperately trying to interact with me, and it's very funny because I'm definitely in the middle of recording this podcast. And while I could stop, I won't, because I never stop. The grind always continues on. That was such a stupid sentence. Yeah. I've been amassing an army of games. Uh, I'm sure if someone stacked them in one stack, it would look ridiculous. Although I'm now kind of curious to know what the world record for most owned video games is. Because that has to be a thing. We have so many records for everything. World record for most owned dogs? Antonio Romero Montero has more video games than anyone else in the world, with more than 20,000 games. Holy heck. What? Oh, cool. They're like kind of color coded, but also system coded. That's actually kind of dope. It's dope to look at, but it also looks like I'd lose my mind. It's walls. He has floor to ceiling walls dedicated to these things. It's kind of insane, but also very intriguing. $1.6 million video game collection. Wow. Oh, and that's just for video games. He's not even... There's a different world record owner for the biggest game systems collection in the world. What? How many do you have? What does it mean by game systems? It just means playable tech. What does that mean? Largest collection of LCD gaming systems, with a total of 1,599. And also the largest collection of playable gaming systems, with a huge 2,430 consoles. What did it say this lady's name? Linda Glory? Why do you have all these? Oh. Okay. That was a little sad, but interesting. I'm glad it had a happy ending. And now she has a Guinness World Record. Okay. That was a weird little moment of just diving into that. I was curious. Sometimes that's what happens when you have thoughts. I mean, what a thought. Oh, it's almost like that's the name of the podcast. Oh. Bad joke aside. Continuing on. What else are in these notes that I kind of want to get to? Maybe I'll finally get to talk about the Bass Pro Pyramid. And yes, you heard that correctly. Because apparently there are some people that don't know it exists. And I thought everyone knew it existed. And apparently I was wrong. But in Tennessee, I believe that's where it's located, there is a Bass Pro Pyramid. It is a store and hotel. And it is in Memphis, Tennessee. Fully, if you Google it, it's called the Bass Pro Shops at the Pyramid, but the Pyramid was built for the Bass Pro. Like it wasn't built and then a Bass Pro moved in, which I've always found insane. But it's wild. Number one, it is the 10th tallest pyramid in the world. And it's a Bass Pro Superstore. That's insane to think about. If you went and looked at all the other pyramids that are out there, you'd be like, okay, yeah, look at all these like pieces of history and all that jazz. And then you go to Memphis, Tennessee to visit the 10th tallest pyramid in the world. And it's a Bass Pro Shop. Smackerinos right in Memphis, Tennessee. That's so insanely goofy. I want to know who came up with this idea. Who built this? No, give me the Wikipedia page on this. That's what I need. Bass Pro Pyramid wiki. There has to be a wiki. The Memphis Pyramid. Is that what they call it? Oh, formerly known as the Great American Pyramid and the Pyramid Arena. Okay. It's located downtown Memphis, Tennessee. It was owned and operated jointly by the city of Memphis and Shelby County. Didn't know that. Wait, it was something before it was a Bass Pro? That's insane. I've learned something new today. Why were you made then? It was first conceived around 1954 by a Memphis artist. The project originally included 3 pyramids located on the south bluffs of Memphis overlooking the Mississippi River. The largest of the 3 would have been scaled at 2/3 the size of the Great Pyramid of Giza near Memphis, Egypt. I'm sorry, Memphis, Egypt? Is that... is this genuinely what that's called? Or Mennefer. Okay. I was like, hold on, that's insane. Okay. The flank structure would have been scaled to 2/3. The project languished for 3 decades until Mark's younger son, John Brent's Hart, resurrected the concept. Okay. He rendered a new bronze glass glazed pyramid after years of negotiations. The concept was adopted by entrepreneur John Tigert as a symbol for the city of Memphis. And then the groundbreaking ceremony was held on September 15th, 1989, and the building was opened on November 9th, 1991. Construction of the building was managed by Sidney Schlenker, part owner of the Denver Nuggets, I didn't know that, and several entertainment companies whom Tigert had brought to Memphis to develop tourist attractions in the building. Okay. The plans were scrapped because of a fallout between Tigert and Schlenker and the latter's financial difficulties. Various former uses and events. Yes, this is the info I want. I didn't know that. But then, that means it just sat around for a bit, didn't it? If they had a falling out, then it just was existing. Various former uses. The pyramid was the home court of the University of Memphis' men's basketball program. I'm sorry, have you seen the inside of this space? It's humongous. You guys were using it for basketball? For college basketball? That's insane. And later for the National Basketball Association's Memphis Grizzlies. However, both teams left the pyramid in November 2004 to move into the newly built FedEx Forum. It was also home of the Memphis Pharaohs of the AFL. I do not know what the AFL is. What sports team are you? AFL. Is that... oh, is it just American Football League? Oh, do we have a separate football league for Americans compared to the NFL? Which is what, National Football League? Am I wrong? I might be wrong. What is NFL then? I like that I popped... then yeah, the National Football League. Then what? Australian Football League. That's insane. What? The preeminent and only fully professional men's competition of Australian rules football. What's the difference? We'll come back to that. I want to know what the difference is between NFL and AFL rules. Okay. The arena hosted the 1993 Great Midwest Conference, men's and women's basketball tournaments, Southeastern Conference in 1994 and 97, 96 and 2000, 2003, lots of basketball conferences. And then the Grateful Dead played 2 concerts there in 95. Mary J. Blige performed there. So there's a whole arena in there, is what I'm getting at. Is what this is getting at. Not me, it's getting at. The pyramid was the site in 1999 of the WWF St. Valentine's Day Massacre in Your House pay-per-view? The World Wrestling Federation was in there? What the fuck? I've spent so much time thinking this thing was just a Bass Pro Shop when that didn't even come into play until like 2015. What wildness occurred? Rolling Stones and Fish played there. Lennox Lewis versus Mike Tyson. What? From 2002 to 2006, the annual Church of God in Christ International Holy Convocations were held there? That's such a wild thing. All these other things that kind of like made sense. I was like, okay, sports, wrestling, still kind of a sport, performances, artists. I was like, okay, yeah. And then the annual Church of God in Christ International Holy Convocation. Okay. Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band performed what is reputed to be the last concert ever in the Pyramid on February 3rd, 2007. Filmmaker Craig Brewer used the building as a soundstage for his film Black Snake Moan in late 2005. That's kind of wild. They used it as a soundstage. They used it as a soundstage. Troubles in closure. Okay. In 2001, the city of Memphis looked to lure either the Grizzlies or the Charlotte Hornets to town. Okay. It would require. I guess they wanted a team stationed there in Memphis because that draws a lot of money, but to do so would require a lot of refitting of the Pyramids arena, since it was being used for college basketball and not professional NBA basketball, which would have also closed the arena. Okay. Wow. While hosting the Grizzlies, the arena lost $200,000. The city of Memphis's contract with the Grizzlies forbade the use of the pyramid without the team's approval, and as a result, it went dark. So why would you write that in? That you can't use the pyramid unless you have approval from the Grizzlies? Stupid. A committee headed by Memphis businessmen studied a possible use of the arena in 2005, in which they didn't do anything. Someone else wanted to open up a Smithsonian institution, like a branch of the Smithsonian museums in there, for destination retail. Okay. So the event, it just kind of closed once the Grizzlies left. It was just there, which is kind of insane to think about. Why were those the most likely long-term tenants? In October 2005, media speculation began to focus on an aquarium or a Bass Pro Shops superstore as the most likely long-term tenants of the arena. Those are two very different things. Oh, you can have an aquarium. We can look at fish. They'll glub around. Glub, glub. Or we can have a Bass Pro Shops superstore. That's so hilarious to me. I need you to know, right? I'm going to say right here, right now. The only reason I know about this superstore is because I have a friend who works there. Now, that's not the only reason I know about it, but that's why I know more details about the superstore, on my own before looking into this Wikipedia page. And I think it's so great. There's a waterway in the store. There's a waterway. And there's little bridges that you have to cross in order to get to other sections that are cut off by the waterway. That's so goddamn wild. Anyways. In 2008, the city and Bass Pro Shops reached a tentative agreement that was apparently short on details, but based on an intent to develop the then abandoned structure. Whoa, what? On June 30th, 2010, after 5 years of negotiating, Bass Pro Shops and the city of Memphis signed an agreement for a 55-year lease to put the megastore in there. 55 years? That's weirdly insane. That's such a long... That Bass Pro Shop is doing well. I know it is. But that's so wild. It opened... So they spent 5 years negotiating. From 05 to 010. And then spent 5 years reworking everything inside. As well as revamping, I guess, a district near it. They did all of that for the next 5 years, and then it opened in 2015. So it's been open for 7 years. It's so wild. Yes, in addition to the retail store itself, Bass Pro Shops at the Pyramid is home of and no is home to Grammatter. Grammatter. I meant to say grammatically, and then I said grammar, and we got Grammatter, which was wrong. An archery range, a shooting range, and a laser arcade. The building also includes Uncle Buck's Fishbowl and Grill with a bowling alley and a saltwater aquarium. So they still put the aquarium in. There's an actual aquarium and a waterway and a Bass Pro Shop inside the pyramid. I don't know how I feel about that. The tallest freestanding elevator in America is inside this pyramid. What the fuck is a freestanding pyramid? Freestanding, not pyramid, elevator. Follow elevators that stand on their own and have their own load-bearing structure. Oh, so I guess their existence and ability to do their job is not dependent on the building. Which sounds terrifying. That sounds like it's its own entity, essentially, inside the building. Is kind of what that is. And that sounds scary to me. I don't like it. What else is in there? Oh, by the way, that takes them all the way to the top, to the, as they called, lookout at the pyramid. Outdoor observation deck? No. Dine and drink? You have an outdoor observation deck and a restaurant where alcohol is served? That's a terrible idea. How have there not been any deaths? Oh, there's an aquarium at the top of the building as well. Yes, there it is. At the base of the pyramid is a 100-room hotel known as the Big Cypress Lodge. It's so insane to me. There's a whole hotel in there. Imagine it. Imagine that. Imagine your honeymoon. Now, sweetie, I know you were excited to go to France, but I just couldn't pass up the great deals and the views of Memphis, Tennessee, and the hotel at the hotel at the pyramid. Down below, there's a whole Bass Pro Shop and aquarium for us to check out, and up above is the greatest views you've ever seen, including a restaurant. What can I say, sweetie? I love you too. Oh my lord. What? Due in part to this large success, because over 3 million people visited that shop in the first year. Due in part to the large success, Bass Pro Shops is considering adding a zip line and a second hotel to the pyramid. That's kind of insane. That's so insane. The Bass Pro at the pyramid. Oh my lord, Memphis, Tennessee. What a wild ride this information was. Freestanding elevators, those don't sound like they should exist. But now, I gotta know the difference between NFL and AFL rules. Because that's intriguing to me. I didn't know Australian football had its own, thing. Oh, AFL is indoor football. That makes sense. If they wanted to put an AFL team inside the arena, which is enclosed, indoor football. There's a whole difference between website. Oh, tell me. Go ahead. Just give me some more things. Do you have a list I can just read? You have a summary list. Okay. Yeah, so the main big three things is that the NFL has a field length of 100 yards, while the AFL has a field length of 50 yards, which, again, would make it easier to put inside of a building like the pyramid. And then, lastly, the NFL has an unlimited roster, while the AFL has a 20-man active and 4-man inactive roster. Interesting. I assume by that they mean per team. Uh, right? Yeah, no, that would make the most sense. 20-man active, 4-man inactive roster. You can have 20 men to choose between for your team, like in the like during games, or like if you want to swap one of them out before the game, it's with one of these 4 men. Okay, that makes sense. But it also feels like that would be bad. Like if you have 5 people injured, you can only replace 4 of them with your men from the bench, right? Well, okay. this has been this has been a very very interesting slide through there. Thanks, Bass Pro Pyramid. What a note. I've had that note in there for a while. How long? Couldn't tell you actually, but it has been in there for a while. Alright, I'll go through maybe these next 2. This one might be short, but what's that? I almost said album. Album by Child. Olivia Rodrigo. Olivia Rodrigo, as we know. As we know, and by we, I mean anyone who was stuck listening to the radio, and I'm so sorry for you guys, because I listen to CDs. Put out an album. It's called Sour. It's all about this boy that broke her heart, which, I mean, hey, power to you. At what, 17? but, but, it's a good album, alright? It's a good album as long as you're not listening to it all at once. Now, what do I mean by that? I'll tell you. When you hear, like, one song every so often from the album, you're like, okay, all of these songs are really good. They're very well done. Ignoring the whole she stole from what is that group called again? I just blanked. Paramore. She stole some sounds from Paramore, which I think every artist ends up making something that sounds like another artist, even accidentally, because that one didn't sound that much like it to me. I was like, that definitely doesn't sound the same. But anyways, she made something great, and it was real good. I liked it. All those songs are solid. I don't think it's the wow, we're going back to punk anthem that everyone thinks it is for some reason. But if that's what helps people sleep at night, then like, who am I to tell them otherwise, right? Get your rest. But when you listen to the whole album at once, like, if you're like me and you have CDs and you pop that CD in, or if you're like every other regular child and young adult who has Spotify premium, and you pop open your Spotify and you listen to it all at once, you get overwhelmed. Now, I don't know what it is, and by that I mean I kind of have an assumption of what it is, but there's just something about hearing a human being discuss their breakup for so long, that you start to tune it out. You hit a point where your brain just goes, hey, is she still talking about this boy? Which isn't me trying to like shut aside her genuine proper like emotional reaction that she's probably having as a human being. I just mean the musical one, the musical album that was put out, and the world had it. Because when you listen to that thing, oh my god, sometimes you just want to be like, we get it. He hurt you. Please move on. Sing about something else. Anything for just a second. You start to feel like that John Mulaney bit with everyone in the diner and What's New Pussycat keeps playing, and then It's Not Unusual comes on, except It's Not Unusual never happens. You never get to hear It's Not Unusual. It's always just everything else, and you're stuck with it. You're stuck with the constant loop of What's New Pussycat. Every time you think a song is over, it blares in your ear and it's wah wah, what's new Pussycat, and you just have to accept it. You have to accept it. And that's the album. And it's bad because like when you hear them like dispersed amongst other things, you're like, yeah, this is really good. But then you hear that whole thing together and you just think this boy really messed up, but she really went and made 9 whole very different songs all about it. All about it. The whole thing. It's about that. And now, I know most albums have themes to them, right? A lot of albums might have some form of theming to it, and it's usually how that person is feeling in the moment, or things like that, or like things that might have occurred that they want to address. You know, I know Eminem did Recovery? Yes, right? He did Recovery after he was recovering from being a drug addict, right? But not every song is him talking about how terrible drugs were and how they messed up his life. Because if they were, you wouldn't like that album. Now, most people already didn't like that album, but that's besides the point. It's just. It's just so goofy. It's just so much, and your brain just kind of melts about it, and there's nothing you can do. You accept it, and you move on, and you're like, man, I guess. You're like, I guess this is fine. And you shrug your shoulders and go to the next day. I'm looking at all the messages that have popped in on my phone while I've been talking. I'm just trying to figure out why people are so dead set on speaking to me right here, right now. There's too many of them. There's too many. Yes, I'm responding to them. What do you expect of me? I'm only human. All played by Tom Holland. That would be funny. Twilight movies are wild. I'm not going to talk about the Twilight movies. Never. Never again. Never in my life. I've seen those movies, the whole franchise. And every day I think about why. Why did I do it? Why was until December of this last year? Right? Yeah. Until December of this last year. Why was the only movie I had ever seen on opening night Breaking Dawn, Part 1. I wasn't even supposed to be there. My sister was going with her at the time boyfriend, now husband. And I said, oh, I've seen those. Let me come along. Or something of that manner. And then I was there. I was there and I shouldn't have been there. And I definitely told a group of girls that started screaming when the titles started coming up to shut up. And my brother-in-law was like, hey, well, you can't say that. They'll kill you. And I was just there as a small child like, did he just say they'll kill me? Because that sounded terrifying to me. Because I didn't understand. I feel like I'm being accosted by a someone who's selling something, but only in a video game. Oh. Anyways, what's the last thing I had? Oh, it's not the last thing I had, but it was another thing I had, and it essentially went like this. Judd Fry. If you don't know Judd Fry is the villain of the musical Oklahoma. I don't think he's a villain. In fact, if we were to classify him as one, I'd say he's the most sympathetic villain in the history of musical theater. Now that's saying a lot, because there's a lot of villains out there. There's a lot of technical villains out there. There's a King Kong musical. You know, King Kong has a wild time before he dies, and most of it's not his fault. But Judd Fry. Now, there's a lot of speculation with the way that the character Judd Fry is written. But the way that he's written and the way he's usually performed by most actors, it leads people to think that he is mentally unwell. You know, like he might have some form of autism spectrum disorder. That's how that character tends to be written, portrayed, and all that jazz. In the original like Oklahoma movie from way back whenever, they cut out his song. Sorry, I was gonna go Google when that came out, but my brain blanked out because every time I open up my internet, I see the same image of William H Macy from Shameless, and I think it's hilarious. But Oklahoma movie. Is that when that came out? 1955. 1955. It's a 2.5 hour movie. It's a musical. Duh. They cut out his song. They cut out Lonely Room. There's another word to that title of that song, I'm pretty certain. But I just remember it's some Lonely Room. And by doing so, they make him seem way more evil in that movie. And so everyone's interpretation of Judd Fry had been that for a very long time. Until 1999 rolls around. And everyone's favorite adamantium boned man before he got his adamantium bones was in a production of Oklahoma that was filmed and is just existing on YouTube for anyone to find if you wanted to ever hear Hugh Jackman sing not a pop tune. I'm looking at you, Greatest Showman. And, of course, because it's a stage production, the song is back in. And Judd's song is the saddest shit in the world. It's so sad. He talks about how much he hates the room that they have for him on the farm to live in because it's cold and it's lonely and it's separated from the house because no one likes him because he's weird. But it's not even that he's weird. It's just that he's big. He's big and he's scary, which seems like a perfect thing to have on a farm. But he talks all about it, about how much he's trying real hard and that he's in love and he wants to get a wife that will love him. Which all of that was preceded by main character Curly singing the song Poor Judd is Dead, in which he describes to Judd how amazing his funeral would be if he killed himself. That's right, the main character, the one you're rooting for the whole musical, sings the song to the villain to try and convince him to kill himself because his funeral would be great and everyone would love him and miss him. Do you know how fucked that is? That's so fucked. Can you imagine that occurring in any form of media nowadays? Or let alone anything outside of Oklahoma? If you guys saw your hero go to the villain and sing a song to him about how he should kill himself because the funeral would be great and everyone would love him, the internet would be up in arms. The internet would be up in arms. And I know people have probably mentioned before that Judd Fry is a sympathetic villain and that he doesn't deserve the ending he gets because, spoiler alert, he does die by the end of the musical. And the world's worst trial is given to Curly over murdering Judd. But that's so insane. I can't imagine when you get hit with that double whammy of Poor Judd is Dead and then A Lonely Room. It hits you. You're like, wow. In a different time, Judd would be the main character. And that's 100% correct. If you looked at a couple of the current musicals nowadays where the loser is the main character and then through being a loser, he goes and does good things, and then he wins the day. Judd would be the main character of Oklahoma in a heartbeat. Granted, some of his actions would have to change, because he does get a bit aggressive. But again, the way he's written, I think everyone knows why he's getting a bit aggressive. And it's because he doesn't truly have control over that. But Judd Fry is the most sympathetic villain. He doesn't deserve what he gets. He definitely doesn't deserve to be treated the way he gets treated. Because that's the whole thing, is that up until he actively tries to kill Curly, Judd is just weird to people. They avoid him. They don't like him because he's big and he's not good at communicating. And then he lives in the old shack on the farm that they forced him to live in because they didn't let him live in the house. They did not want him in the house. So he lives in a shack and everyone's afraid of him. And I'm just like, that's so... Insane. And then they end the whole first act with a dream sequence ballet where the main girl Lori has a whole nightmare about it. A whole nightmare about the idea of being stuck with Judd because she willingly tells him, yes, you can take me to the dance. And then instead of telling him, no, I no longer want to go, she goes on a whole convoluted path, which is what leads to the whole Judd tries to kill Curly and Curly ends up killing Judd. It's so insane. It's so wild. Judd deserves better, and that's basically it. That's my whole argument for these past 7 to 8 minutes, is that the combo Curly Lori did an unnecessary amount of things that led to the death of a man who should not have died. Judd Fry deserves all the love, and that is where I will die on that hill. That hill is my death throne. But anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me for the What a Thought podcast. If you liked it, make sure to let me know. Leave a like and comment down below. Tell me other things you want to hear me talk about. You know, it'd be nice. One person gave comments once, and I did respond to them, although I don't think I ever told them that I did. So I should probably do that, and maybe I will have done it by the time this comes out. I should be back from my family getaway on the day this releases, so we'll see. I'll see. Yeah, everything else will continue to come out. Some of those stuff have been pre-made, in time for this, for this trip that was thrown at me. But yeah, thank you guys again. I've been Matthew Allen. Check out all the other stuff in the Linktree link. You know, you'll find the gaming YouTube channel. You'll find the Twitch, as well as my social medias. In case you want to toss a topic to me there, rather than in the description chat. Forgot what the words I was looking for. In the chat. Down in the chat. But thank you guys again, and I'll see all of you when I see ya.